If you're an artist or designer looking to make money, I feel like stickers are one of the best things that you can sell. They don't cost much to make, and in comparison to other physical products, they're pretty light and easy to ship. I've been making and selling stickers as a side hustle for a while now. I've sold thousands of orders of stickers, and over the years, I've learned a thing or two about making them. Whenever I share videos of my setup and the equipment that I'm using now, I always get comments saying how expensive everything is. But I didn't start off with all of this stuff right off the bat. I started with a very simple process with equipment that didn't cost much at all. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing everything you need to know to make professional quality stickers step by step, even if you don't have a large budget or really any budget at all. So before we can get into actually making the stickers, we're going to need some kind of art or design. And there's a couple ways we can go about this. Today, I'm going to be using my iPad since I have one, but this definitely isn't required if you're just getting started. You can draw physically on a piece of paper or sketchbook and scan it or take a picture of it to get it onto the computer. Or another option is to use something like a Wacom tablet or similar. These tablets have been becoming increasingly more affordable over the years, and they were the standard for creating digital art before iPads were even a thing. I know some professionals still prefer these kinds of tablets over iPads even today. Before we get started, I know I'm going to get comments from people saying that they have no idea how to draw or use design software. And for that, I want to bring up today's sponsor, Skillshare. When most people are looking to buy stickers, they're not looking for Mona Lisa type art. Minimalistic kawaii type art is one of the best selling styles of stickers right now, and it's actually very easy to learn. For the stickers I'm making in this video, I decided to take a class by Betckey called How to Draw Cute and Kawaii Cartoon Cats. People think that drawing talent is some innate ability that you're born with, but it's just like any other skill. It's something that you can learn and improve on with practice. Betckey does a great job breaking everything down into simple steps. You'll learn that all of these drawings are made up of simple shapes that anyone can draw. If you haven't heard of Skillshare before, they have thousands of classes taught by industry experts on almost anything. From drawing and illustration to graphic design to video editing to freelance to productivity and more. I'm sure you'll be able to find tons of relevant classes to help you on your sticker making journey. If you're one of those people that think you have no drawing talent and could never make a piece of art that somebody would want to buy, I'd highly recommend taking Betckey's class. It's a short class, less than an hour long, and taking it might change your mind. And the best thing is, you can check out his class and all the other classes on Skillshare for free because they're kindly offering the first 500 people to use my link down in the description below a 1-month free trial. So if you're interested, check out the link down below, and thanks so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Now that we have our art, we can move on to printing, and for that we have to look at two things: printers and papers. When I started my sticker shop all those years ago, my go-to paper was one by Online Labels. It was a weatherproof glossy one. When I mentioned this in the past, some of you were looking for alternatives because it wasn't available in your region or it was just hard to find. Doing some research now, it seems like there's a lot more options that are both cheaper and more readily available. So for this part of the video, I thought it'd be helpful to get some of the most popular papers available on Amazon and test them and see how they compare with each other. I picked up this one by a company called Small Smile, this one by Zicoto, and this one from a brand called Betckey. If you're interested in any of these, I'll link them down in the description. For printers, you don't need anything special here. Any home printer will work. The 3 papers that we used on Amazon are good to use on both inkjet and laser printers, which should have you covered for whatever printer you're using at home. But if you're using something else, make sure you're using the right paper for the printer you're using at home. You don't want to mess up your printer. If you're buying a printer, in terms of brands, I like the Canon Pixma series. When I started my shop, I used a TS5320, which was pretty cheap at the time. If you don't have space for a printer or you just don't want to invest in one right now, you can look for places that offer printing services. In Canada and the US, you can go to places like Staples or FedEx or UPS to use their printers. Or if you're a student, you might be able to use the ones that are in your library or computer lab. Most of these places will just charge you per sheet, which might end up working better for you depending on your situation. Okay, so here's the file that I made on my iPad, and we're just gonna go ahead and print this on each of the papers that we have now. Just go print. Okay, so I've got the art printed on all 3 papers here. This one is the Zicoto, this one is the Small Smile, and this one's the Betckey paper. And just right off the bat, I can tell that this Betckey one is a much lower quality than the others. It's the cheapest out of the 3, and you can really tell just by feeling it and looking at the print quality. I don't know if you can see it there. But yeah, this might be okay if you are just making promotional stickers that you're going to be giving away, but I personally wouldn't be selling stickers that I made with this paper. These two are pretty similar quality. The Zicoto one is a little bit thicker than the Small Smile, which is nice, but you could probably pick up either of these and be pretty happy with the decision. I'm not sure if you can see the difference between matte and glossy, but this one is the matte, and this one is the glossy. Personally, I like glossy, but it's really just a preference of what you want to go for. Now that we have our art printed on our sticker paper, there's two ways to go about cutting, and the first way is one that a lot of people overlook. If you're making stickers for fun, or you don't know if you're going to be selling a lot of them yet, a very real thing that you can do is just cut them out with scissors. I know a lot of sticker shops that sell on Etsy hand cut their stickers, and there's nothing wrong with it. In fact, some customers might actually prefer this because it stays more true to how Etsy started as a handmade goods website. If you're doing this, I'd recommend smoothing out the corners and not cutting too close to the edge. Take your time and try to leave an even border around your art. If you choose to go this route, you're done. As you can see, it doesn't take much to make stickers. If you already have a printer at home or you're able to borrow one, all it takes is some art, sticker paper, and a pair of scissors. You can easily set up your shop with just these things and see if your stickers actually sell before investing in any more equipment. Now obviously, if you're looking to make a large number of stickers, cutting them by hand is just not going to be scalable. This is when you want to look into getting a dedicated cutting machine. When I started, I used a Silhouette Cameo 4, which I really liked at the time. Doing some research now, it looks like they have an updated model called the Cameo 5, which adds a bunch of extra features. But when I first started, the two main options available were the Silhouette and the Cricut. I actually did try the Cricut for a little bit, but I ended up returning it. I thought the hardware was really nice, but the software was a little bit limited. Something I preferred about the Silhouette was that they offered a plugin for Adobe Illustrator. This let me design, print, and cut from one program, which saved me a little bit of headache from exporting and importing between programs. Another benefit of the Silhouette was that Silhouettes and Graphtec are made by the same parent company. I use a commercial Graphtec cutter now, and upgrading from the hobby Silhouette to the professional Graphtec was a lot easier because it used pretty much the same software. It's been a while since I made these decisions though, and the landscape may have changed a little bit. So if you're interested in learning more about the specific machines, let me know down in the comments. I could pick up the most popular cutting machines and do a proper review on them and compare them against each other. As it stands though, I'm sure either brand is probably fine to start with. I wouldn't let deciding between them cause any extra stress. It's probably best just to pick whatever one you like and learn how to use it. Regardless of what brand cutter you have, you're gonna have to learn how to set up your files, and that consists of two things. The first thing is cut lines. These lines won't be visible when you go ahead and print your art, but they will tell the cutter where to cut after you load it into the cutter. If you're using the included software that comes with your cutter, a lot of the times you can do this automatically depending on the file type. But if you're using a different file type that's not supported, or you just want to do this manually, I'll show you how to do it now. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want two different layers for your printing and for your cutting. So here I already named one layer as print, and we're just going to make another layer and name it cut. And we're going to duplicate the art on this layer, this print layer, to the cut layer. So I'm just going to Command A to select everything, Command C, and go to our cut layer, and Command V. And now I'm going to lock and hide the print layer. And then you'll want to go to image trace settings here. After you image traced, this is now a vector. So next you want to click the cat and go Object Expand. And this is just going to turn everything into paths. After that, you just want to select everything, and in the path finder you want to click this Unite button, which will turn everything into one big blob. After that, you can press this to turn it into a stroke. And I like to use a stroke of 0.5, and I just turn it blue. So here we have the cut line, and if you toggle on the print layer, you'll see that we're going to print this and we're going to cut right on the black line. But what most people like to do is offset this a little bit so that you have a white border around your sticker. So to do that, you want to turn off your print layer again, select the cut line, and go Object, Path, and Offset. Here I usually go 2 millimeters, which converts it into inches here, and for the joins I like to use round. Now you can delete this inner cut line and you'll just have one, and now you can see that we have a 2 millimeter gap around the art. So now I'm just going to go ahead and do this with the rest of the cats. Okay, so I went ahead and made the cut lines for all of the cats. Here you can see the cut lines, and if we toggle on the print, you're gonna see the artwork. Next, we need to add registration marks. These are the marks that you're gonna add to the page so the cutter can later scan it to align the cuts with the artwork. Again, if you're using the software that comes with your cutter, it's gonna be way easier than this. It's gonna do this automatically. But since we're using Illustrator here, I'm gonna have to add them manually. So since we're using the plugin, you can see that the plugin's called Cutting Master, and I'm just gonna hit registration marks. This window will pop up and it'll give you some options. This first option here is the number of points and the type of registration mark. If you're using this, I like the 4-point type 2. For thickness and length here, in general, the thicker the lines and the longer the lines, the more accurate the cutter is gonna be. The trade-off though is if you're using really long registration marks, it's gonna cut into the printable area on the page. So you're not going to be able to use your sticker paper as efficiently. But I have my cutter pretty dialed in, so I like to go with thickness of 0.1 centimeters and length of 0.5. You can see now that we have these 4 black marks on the page here, and the cutter's gonna scan these later to know where to cut these blue lines. Next, we just wanna hide the cut lines before we print, so we'll turn off the cut layer and we will go ahead and print it. And after that, we'll turn off the print layer, turn on the cut layer, and we'll go to our plugin again and hit cut. So here it is out of the printer with the registration marks, and we're just gonna add it to the cutter now. And I actually don't own a Silhouette anymore, so I'm going to be using my Graphtec, but the process is exactly the same. You just line it up with the rollers and hit the feed button and hit cut on the computer. And that's it. You can pop these out of your cutter and then you have your stickers. One question that I get that I do want to answer is what cut settings are the best when making stickers? And this one is hard to answer because it depends on 1, the sticker paper that you're using, and 2, it might even depend on the specific cutting machine that you're using. Before I upgraded to my larger machines, I was running 2 Cameo 4s side by side. And the funny thing is that even though I was using the same paper and everything, I had to use different settings on each machine to get the same result. So the best thing to do is to find out the specific settings that you need to use on your specific paper and machine that you have at home. In general, there are 2 main settings that you need to figure out. The first one is force. Some brands will call this pressure, and the second setting is speed. And the best way to figure out these settings is simply just to test it. Take your sticker paper and put it in your cutter and test out cutting out shapes, like triangles. Start with the lowest pressure or force setting and slowly increase it. The ideal setting that you're trying to find here is the lowest setting that will cut fully through your material. Using more force than necessary might lead to inaccurate cuts, and it might lead to a premature dulling of your blades. After you've done some testing and honed in on the specific force setting that you need, it's time to do the same thing with speed. Start with the lowest speed and slowly increase it until you start getting inaccurate cuts or slips. Once you see that, step back to the lower speed, and that's your ideal setting for speed. Another question I get asked about is waterproofing. The Zicoto and Small Smile brand paper that we're using in this video both say that they're waterproof. And while they'll most likely last a few times in the wash, they probably won't withstand the harsher elements of being outside or the dishwasher. If you want to extend the life of your stickers, especially against water, there's 2 things you can try. One is to use some kind of spray coating, which I've seen can be very effective, or 2, you can use some kind of laminate sheet. The ones to look for here are the ones that are one-sided. You can apply these without a machine with just a squeegee, and in my experience, I actually prefer the laminating sheets over the spray because it's a lot cleaner to apply. If you're interested, I'll link some options down in the description below. I feel like my audience has changed a lot in the last year or so as my channel has grown, so I'm not sure how many of you are actually interested in sticker content. If you are, again, you can leave comments down below and I can make more videos like this one. Or if you want to learn more about my current setup and all the equipment that I'm currently using now, you can check out this video over here. For the most part, it's still pretty accurate to everything that I'm doing and what I'm using today. If not, thanks so much for watching, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.